So if Trump wants to be a gangster and bully and said, I'm going to take your money if you win, doesn't he realize that when people straighten their backs up and have a spine and respond to his bully activity?
Anna Kasparian and Dr. Cornel West just went head-to-head with a panel of MAGA stooges on Abby Phillip's CNN show. And trust me, things got heated fast. The topic? Zohran Mamdani and the outrageous threats Donald Trump is making against him. This exchange exposes exactly how far Trump's bullying politics can go. We're going to break it all down, clip by clip, and I'll share my thoughts on every fiery moment. Let's get into it together.
Tonight, Zohran Mamdani fires back at President Trump's threats to New York City funding. Over the weekend, Trump said Mamdani's campaign to be mayor will prove to be, quote, one of the best things to ever happen to our great Republican Party. He added that Mamdani, quote, needs the money from me as president in order to fulfill all of his fake communist promises. He won't be getting any of it, so what's the point of voting for him? Well, CNN's Aaron Burnett spoke to Mamdani about that threat tonight. Here's what he said.
So the number this year from the federal government was $7.4 billion to New York City. Are you okay if New York City loses that?
No, we will fight for every single dollar that the city currently receives from the federal government. And I look for examples across this country that showcase the best way to respond to Donald Trump's strengths is not collaboration, is his threats rather. It's responding with strength. And what we see in California is an attorney general of the state has estimated that for every dollar they spent on lawsuits against the federal government's threats to withhold funding, they won more than $30,000 in what would otherwise have been lost. And so we will take that same approach.
The paradox, of course, of Trump's post and also of his behavior in this whole situation is that he says this is so good for Republicans, and yet he seems to be willing to do almost anything to get Mamdani out of this race. It's too late now, more than likely, but why? Why is he playing both sides of this?
Abby, I think you're going to see more fireworks. I mean, Trump has a lot going for him in this particular case, just as Republicans have pointed to other Democrat politicians in the past and try to make them individuals that they identify with certain brands of the Democrat Party. And in this case, Mamdani has identified himself as a democratic socialist, or as conservatives would say, a communist. And so why wouldn't they play up some of the policy proposals and the cost of those and what it would mean in terms of the implications for the residents of New York City were he to be elected? And yes, you're going to see more.
But on what basis would Trump withhold $7.4 billion from New York?
Well, we know Congress controls the purse strings, so there's a lot that, that he would have to
He's going to really say, New Yorkers, you exercised your right to vote. We're going to take your tax dollars away from you.
Except New Yorkers spent almost 18% of GDP on federal taxes. I'm talking about New York City taxpayers, 18% of their GDP last year on paying federal taxes. The idea that the president is going to retaliate against local leaders just because he doesn't like their politics and withhold money that they're entitled to is ridiculous to me. And honestly, it sets up a really, really bad precedent. I would be disgusted if Biden did something like that. It disgusts me that Trump is threatening to do it just because he doesn't like Mamdani, doesn't like his politics, and wants to go against the will of voters in New York City.
Well, there's 2 points, if I can, that I want to make here. One is New York is the beating heart of the Democratic Party right now. One, you have a socialist, self-described socialist, that is not a pejorative, he says it himself, who's running for mayor of New York City. And you have Chuck Schumer, who is driving us towards a government shutdown because he's worried about a primary challenge from AOC. It is incredibly New York-centric, and it's the battle taking place in the Democratic Party.
True.
The second point is the former governor of Indiana, Mitch Daniels. I was at this event back in 2009 in my home county, Lake County, Indiana, which has had a troubled past. It's where Gary is located. But people were complaining about all the corruption and the grift that was happening there and asking him for help. And he said, quote, I believe in home rule, and you're entitled to all the lousy, clumsy, graft-ridden government you're willing to pay for.
Now, Pete Seat, I think that's how his name is pronounced, the MAGA guy on this panel, talks about the Democratic Party running through New York City. But what he conveniently ignores is that the wannabe mob boss sitting in the White House right now is also a New Yorker. So doesn't that mean the Republican Party runs through New York too? Anna Kasparian makes an excellent point here. Think about what Trump is actually doing. Presidents from both parties have always stepped up to help people during natural disasters. But Donald Trump wants to draw the line if a state or city doesn't share his politics or show him enough loyalty. He's openly threatening to withhold money from them. And as Anna points out, these cities, New York, San Francisco, Chicago, Los Angeles, Portland, are all paying massive amounts in federal taxes. Yet Trump wants to deny them the resources they already paid for. Maybe people in those places should stop paying federal taxes if their tax dollars are going to be conditional. Honestly, we've never seen anyone as cruel and reckless as Donald Trump in modern history. And the wildest part? Words mean nothing anymore. You have this guy, Rob Lai, saying Manny is a democratic socialist, but conservatives call him a communist. Trump does this constantly, calling people like Kamala Harris a Marxist, socialist, communist, fascist, tossing around four completely different terms like they're interchangeable. MAGA types on Abby Phillip's show use socialist, communist, Marxist, Maoist, fascist, and woke to describe anything they dislike. None of those words mean anything anymore because MAGA can't define them. It's just a label they throw at whatever they're against. And right now, they're calling everything communist.
Right now,
Fair
you're
enough.
entitled to all the socialism you're willing to vote for.
Fair enough.
Well, I tell you
there's
this,
also
though,
a
man,
big
I'm glad
question.
that you even described Democratic Party having a heart, because it seems to me they've been so spineless.
I'm feeling nice tonight. You know,
You're very, very kind.
Well, Dr.
But I would
West,
say this,
let me
though.
ask you this, because
Yes.
it's to you, perhaps to the point that you're going to make here. But the Democratic Party, it's a big question. What should they do with Mamdani? And in the New York Times, there was an argument that they should embrace the eat the rich populism, a scorching economic message delivered by political outsiders standing up to the powerful. The villains in this narrative are the elites at the top of the broken system. Do you think that that's right? The Democrats should just forget about the labels and just embrace the economic populism?
Oh, and it is a populism. It's not a socialism. Mamdani's not a socialist at all. This is New Deal liberalism, New Deal social democratic policies. And New York is not just the center of what you said to be the Democratic Party. It's the center of the national and international capitalist order. So if Trump wants to be a gangster and bully and said, I'm going to take your money if you win, doesn't he realize that when people straighten their backs up and have a spine and respond to his bully activity, if New York wanted to boycott the federal government as a city, the government would go down too. And there's an identity in New York that cuts across class. Brooklyn, boogie down Bronx, I live in Harlem. New York would be able to come together. So all this talk about socialism, that's just abstract so-and-so. Brother Zohran is a liberal, he's a social democrat, he's no revolutionary at all.
I actually agree with your take on that. And honestly, I think Mamdani represents the class-based politics that Trump pretended to be about and ran on both in 2016 and 2024.
And Brother Bernie
didn't deliver.
Ran on it too.
He did.
And many of us were with him, but
Exactly.
he was unable to succeed at that level. But thank God the Brother Zohran, Kwame, Mamdani doing his thing.
I'll give you this much. I do think he's tapped into the issues that particularly young people care about. I mean, they can't afford housing in this country because the price is so high and interest rates are, at historic levels, and all of these challenges that they're encountering as they enter the world. The problem is that the policies that he's pursuing are not going to make things any better for them. And we know this because we can look at 4 years of Joe Biden and the spending spree that the federal government went on and what that meant for the cost of living and inflation in this country.
I think Joe Biden and Mamdani are very different. Joe Biden was all about public-private partnerships. For instance, like the infrastructure bill, which, Democrats love to talk about, love that it happened, but it really privatizes a ton of public infrastructure. There's a lot of corporate giveaways in there. Mamdani comes from a different school of thought.
So this is a powerful point from Dr. Cornel West, breaking down how Manny isn't a socialist at all. He's simply a New Deal Democrat. And honestly, that's exactly what so many people have been calling for. If you watch Kyle Kalinski's videos, he talks about this often. That Democrats could easily lean back into the same New Deal policies that worked under FDR. Those policies were incredibly popular with the American people. They could embrace that vision and let the Republicans and MAGA crowd scream socialist all they want. It doesn't matter. Like Abby Phillip points out here, the Democrats themselves don't really seem to care. Now sure, the Democratic establishment, the Chuck Schumers and Nancy Pelosi's, they care a lot. But younger voters and the new generation in the party don't. MAGA called Joe Biden a socialist, communist, even a fascist. They called Obama the same thing. So if they're going to call you those names no matter what, why even bother trying to please them? The Democratic Party could literally say, we're cutting taxes to zero for anyone making over $1 million, and MAGA would still call them communist and fascist and Maoist and everything else. So who cares? Just focus on good policies that help people. And that's the problem Anna Kasparian and Dr. Cornel West are pointing out here. Most of the Democratic Party doesn't actually want to do those things. That's what worries me about the upcoming midterms. As bad as Donald Trump is in his second term, Democrats can't keep saying he's a fascist, so you have to vote for us, while offering nothing in return. That strategy doesn't work anymore. The Democratic Party needs real policies, a real heart, exactly like Dr. Cornel West is saying. And if Manny wins, maybe that sets the blueprint for what the Democrats could become. If the establishment refuses to move aside, then let the younger generation take the lead. But what do you think about all this? Do you agree with Anna Kasparian and Dr. Cornel West's take on Mamdani and Donald Trump's reaction on Abby Phillip's show? Or are you siding with the two MAGA voices here, Roby and Pete Seat? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.